Have you ever looked at a massive project, like building a new hospital or bringing clean water to an entire village, and just wondered, how on earth do they pull that off without it all turning into a complete mess? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on the secret blueprint they use. It's a really powerful tool called the logical framework.
I mean, that's a pretty big question, right? When you're tackling huge, complex problems, just having good intentions, well, it's not going to cut it. You need a plan that's way more than a simple to-do list. What you really need is a logical map from start to finish. So how do you even begin to draw something like that?
All right, here's our game plan for today. We're going to start by looking at the chaos of big projects, and then I'll introduce you to the framework that brings a little order to it all. We'll walk through a real-world example, but then, and this is the interesting part, we'll explore its biggest flaw and how people found a way to blend that rigid structure with some much-needed human wisdom.
So picture this. You're trying to manage a massive project. You've got donors breathing down your neck for results. You have local leaders who all have their own agendas, and teams on the ground trying to make it happen. Oh, and the budget's tight, and the main goal is kind of fuzzy. It is an absolute recipe for disaster. And that is exactly why having a clear, logical structure isn't just a nice to have, it is absolutely essential.
So to cut through all that chaos, project managers came up with something called the logical framework approach, or just LogFrame for short. The best way to think of it is as a blueprint for your project. It's designed to make sure every single piece of the puzzle is clear, connected, and actually makes logical sense. At its heart, the log frame is all about thinking backwards. It basically forces you to ask a series of if-then questions. To achieve our really big goal, what outcomes do we need first? And to get those outcomes, what things do we have to create? And to create those things, what specific activities do we need to do? It's all about building this completely unbreakable chain of logic. And this, right here, is why it got so popular, especially with big donor agencies. For them, the log frame is like the perfect project recipe. It clearly lays out what success looks like, it helps everyone involved speak the same language, and it gives you a built-in way to check if you're actually on track. It just wraps everything up in a neat, tidy, understandable package.
Okay, so theory is one thing, but let's make this real. Let's roll up our sleeves and actually see the log frame in action. We're going to plan a simple, practical project from start to finish, building a water borehole for a community.
And this is the heart and soul of the log frame. It's a simple 4x4 grid. It might look basic, but this little matrix is designed to hold the entire logic of a project on a single page. We're going to build it from the top down. And for now, let's just focus on this first column, because that's what creates the core logic of our whole plan. So we start at the very top with the big picture dream, the why we're doing this at all. Our overall objective isn't just build a borehole. No, it's the long-term impact we hope to have on people's lives. Things like better community health and giving people back the time they used to spend fetching water. Okay, one level down from that big dream is the project purpose. This is the direct, immediate change we expect to see. If our project is a success, what will be different? The community will have reliable access to clean water. You can already see how this purpose is the very first logical step toward achieving our bigger overall objective. Next up, we have the results, or what people often call outputs. These are the tangible, physical things our project will actually deliver. We're not just digging a hole in the ground, we are producing one functioning borehole. And, just as important, we're making sure 20 community members are trained to keep it running. These are the concrete things you can point to. And finally, we get to the bottom of the ladder, the activities. This is basically our to-do list, the specific actions we need to take, like securing the land rights, getting the equipment, and running those training sessions. And there you have it, the complete logical chain. See how it flows upwards? The activities lead to the results achieve our purpose, and the purpose contributes to our overall objective. It all just connects. It looks pretty perfect, right? A nice, clean, logical blueprint. But here comes the twist. While the log frame is fantastic for planning concrete things like boreholes, it can run into some serious trouble when it starts dealing with the messy complexities of actual people and communities. This slide just nails the central conflict. On paper, the log frame promises all these wonderful things: clarity, logic, control. But in the real world, that desire for control can turn into rigidity,
It can oversimplify really complex social issues. It can totally ignore local wisdom. And worst of all, it can be incredibly disempowering by treating people like boxes to be checked off a list, instead as active partners in their own development. And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? A rigid blueprint doesn't leave any room for learning or trying new things. It can totally stifle innovation and create this power imbalance where outside experts come in and dictate all the terms, completely overlooking the incredible knowledge that already exists within the community itself. So, does that mean the log frame is useless? Should we just throw it out? Well, not at all. Practitioners realized they didn't have to get rid of it completely. Instead, they started finding clever ways to combine its powerful structure with more flexible, more human-centered approaches. So how do you actually fix it? Well, the solution turned out to be this kind of hybrid approach. The idea is you use the log frame as the skeleton, the basic structure and checklist, but the flesh and blood, the real substance, comes from something called participatory rural appraisal, or PRA. That's really just a fancy way of saying you bring the community together to have real discussions about their problems and to define their own goals. Then, the log frame becomes a tool you fill out with the community, not a document you just hand to them. And honestly, that's the real takeaway here. The best approach isn't strictly top-down or bottom-up. It's a mix of both. It's about combining the undeniable clarity of a good blueprint with the deep, lived-in wisdom of the people themselves. That's how you create a plan that's not only logical, but also genuinely empowering. Which kind of leaves us with a really fascinating question to chew on. We're so often taught that we need to search for the perfect, unchangeable plan. But maybe the best plan is actually one that's designed from the very beginning to change. A plan that has a strong logical core, for sure, but also has the built-in wisdom to listen, to adapt, and to evolve along the way. What do you think?